Today's video contains spoilers all the way up to the ending of Final Fantasy VII Remake. If you wish to avoid spoilers for the game, I highly suggest that you go and complete it first and then come back to this video. Don't worry, I'll still be here for you when you get back. Final Fantasy VII Remake was easily one of the best JRPGs I played this generation. They absolutely nailed its setting, characters, and battle system. As I made clear in my review, I honestly adored this game. However, its brand new ending has had a fairly split reception. There are people who absolutely adored this finale and view it as opening up possibilities within Final Fantasy VII's universe, and freeing them from the constraints of the past. That said, the opposite side of the fence views the ending as weird, convoluted, and introducing a theme into Final Fantasy VII that doesn't align with its core principles. If you haven't seen my video, Final Fantasy VII Remake Ending Analysis and Critique, in that video I express my feelings toward the ending. I'm a big advocate for change and new content in Final Fantasy VII Remake, and throughout the history of this game in the 3 years of my channel's life, I can say that I've always been one. While I was satisfied with the game itself, I can't say I walked away satisfied with the ending. And I want to stress that it's not because it was a new ending, but in fact I was more worried about these new themes existing in a world like Final Fantasy VII's. That said, I'm not here to shove my opinion down your throat with this, and respect whichever way you choose to view the ending. And rather than convincing you whether the ending was either good or bad, which for many of you you've already made up your mind anyway, today I'd like to focus on what comes after that. Cause in all honesty, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't dying for part 2 already. Judging from the way that Final Fantasy VII Remake ended in a massive subversion of expectations, we learn that the journey in store for us next is almost certainly going to be an unknown one. I mean, it almost literally spells that out for you. But what exactly is the unknown journey? While some are excited at the prospect of Final Fantasy VII being told in a brand new way, others are nervous that the next step on this unknown journey may not even be a remake at all. What I personally believe is that Final Fantasy VII Remake Game 2, for the most part, is still going to follow the overall story beats of the original. You're still going to get the calm flashback, the golden saucer, and the date scene with either Tifa or Aerith, or Barrett if you're truly cultured. And indeed, that would make it not too unlike this first game. That all being said, there are some major things the second game is going to have to handle as a consequence of this game's ending. The first being that they'll have to create something that surpasses the ending in terms of an epic conclusion, which may push the game into a further polarizing direction. I mean, after all, what do? Another fight with Sephiroth? A fight with Sephiroth for each game that comes out? And if they continue to pull that trick out of the hat every time, it'll sort of take away from that final conclusion with him. However, the biggest concern for me is the idea of a Final Fantasy VII multiverse being at the forefront of the story. Introducing multiverse stories a lot of times tends to come off as bad fanfiction, and a way of bringing back characters who should be dead just because, well, they're popular. While in the meta, I think it's cool that this game and the original Final Fantasy VII are separate universes and don't overwrite each other, but it can also quickly become convoluted and outright dumb. Furthermore, if time traveling is a thing, and it does indeed seem to be where most of the theory crafting is happening right now, the story could end up devolving into something really messy. There's a lot of debate going on with Zack in particular, leaving some people to speculate he may be alive either in this timeline or another. For those unaware of why this theory is out there, the reason in particular is that the camera puts a very big emphasis on letting us know that Stamp is different here. He's not at all the same breed of dog that he is in the rest of the game. Stamp is supposed to be an iconic character within this new version of Midgar. The developers made sure that you notice Stamp the whole time, especially with this scene being shown after you defeat the Arbiters of Fate who are supposed to keep the timeline in order. So popular consensus leads us to believe that this is multiverse theory at work. And if that's the case, things are about to get incredibly weird, to say the very least. And if that is the case, it's hard to imagine what they plan on doing with this. Have us play as Zack in a different timeline or universe? Have some sort of weird Crisis Core 2 spinoff where Zack doesn't die? Have multiple universes overlap and create some sort of ultimate happy ending where he lives. While it certainly is good fan service, fitting this into the story in any other capacity is just going to be strange. And it's hard to imagine it fitting into the story in some sort of meaningful way, but one thing that I can say for sure is that Cloud in our current timeline has the Buster Sword. So at the very least, something has happened to Zack, presumably death, and that results in Cloud having the Buster Sword in hand. While I do think that future parts will continue to include a lot of the original story beats, the possibility of them being altered is certainly real. For example, I genuinely cannot say I would be surprised if Aerith just didn't die at this point. At the same time, Nomura and his team may be leading us into a trap of false security to set us up to believe there's a chance to save her. If that's the case, our hearts will be even more broken if and when the time comes. Some people are going wild with these theories and even speculating that hey, maybe it'll be Tifa who gets on the other end of Sephiroth's blade this time. While I don't think that will happen, I gotta admit that's pretty much the only thing that would be every bit as shocking and controversial as Aerith's death all the way back in 1997. But boy, would the public outrage be real on that one. And with characters like Biggs no longer meeting their unfortunate ends in the new remake, the developers have made it clear, don't expect who dies and who lives to be all the same. Their plan is to keep us on our toes. Through it all though, I'm on board for whatever they plan on doing next. As I promised, no matter what kind of weird or incredible turns that this remake takes, I've decided a long time ago I'm staying on the journey with you guys no matter what. As wonderful as the time I've had with Final Fantasy VII Remake, I'm beyond excited to see where it all goes next. But with that said, Ultimate Weapons, I want to know what you think. How far do you think the developers will go with part 2? Will we potentially be diving into multiverse theory? Is Zack still out there? And do you think they'll change Aerith's big moment? Subscribe, click the bell icon, and let me know in the comments below. And if you value the content on this channel, be sure to check out the Patreon for the Night Sky Prince, where these videos have been made possible by incredible people like Robin Feaster. Thanks to them, I'm able to keep all these Final Fantasy VII, Square Enix, and JRPG videos coming at you guys. And if you value that, be sure to check the link in the description below where you can become a part of it. Shout out to Robin and the rest of the Ultima community.
Shine.